The first time humans were invited to the Galactic Concord Assembly, most people on Earth believed it was a mistake. After all, humanity had barely begun exploring its own solar system when the signal arrived. A fleet of elegant alien vessels appeared beyond the orbit of Jupiter, silent and motionless, as if they had been waiting there for centuries. Then the message came, translated perfectly into every language on Earth. The Concord welcomes humanity. No demands, no threats, just an invitation. But the invitation came with a condition. Only one human representative could attend the first gathering. And that was how Ethan Cole ended up standing inside the most important chamber in the known galaxy. The Concord Assembly Hall was larger than Ethan could fully comprehend. The domed ceiling stretched kilometers above, glowing faintly with soft blue light that resembled distant stars. Floating platforms circled the chamber like slow-moving moons, each one holding delegates from different alien civilizations. Some were tall and insect-like with translucent wings. Others resembled walking crystals that shimmered with inner light. One species looked like living trees, their branches woven with bioluminescent leaves. Ethan tried not to stare. He stood on a modest platform marked with the symbol of Earth, a simple blue and green sphere projected in light beneath his boots. To the rest of the galaxy, humanity was an unknown variable, a new species, unpredictable, possibly dangerous, or possibly insignificant. 100 alien eyes studied him with quiet curiosity. Ethan tugged slightly at the collar of his diplomatic uniform. He had been a cargo pilot 3 weeks ago. Now he was representing 8 billion people. No pressure. A voice echoed across the chamber. Human Representative Ethan Cole stepped forward. The speaker was High Speaker Vale Rin, the diplomatic leader of the Concord. Her species, the Solari, were tall, elegant beings with smooth silver skin and luminous eyes. They were known across the galaxy for their wisdom and neutrality. Ethan stepped forward. "We welcome humanity to the Concord," Vale Rin said. "But admission requires understanding your species. We must determine whether humans are compatible with interstellar civilization." Ethan nodded. "That seems fair." A ripple of whispers passed among the delegates. Humans had a reputation already: bold explorers, emotionally unpredictable, fiercely protective of their own. Some species admired that. Others feared it. Vale Rin raised a slender hand, and the chamber fell silent again. "We will begin with observation." But before the proceedings could continue, a small voice echoed across the hall. "Mom." The voice was soft, high, and unmistakably childish. Every delegate turned. Standing near the entrance to the chamber was a small Solari child, no more than 6 years old by human standards. Her silver skin glowed faintly, and her large eyes shimmered with curiosity. She clutched the hand of a tall Solari woman, clearly her mother. Several guards immediately stepped forward. "Princess Lyrie," one of them said urgently, "you are not supposed to be here." Ethan blinked. Princess? So this was no ordinary child. The girl didn't seem to care about the tensions spreading through the chamber. Her gaze had locked onto Ethan the moment she entered. Then she raised one small finger and pointed directly at him. "Mom," she said clearly. "That's the one." The entire chamber froze. Silence stretched across the massive hall like a tightening wire. High Speaker Vale Rin's luminous eyes shifted toward the child. "Princess Lyrie," she said carefully. "What do you mean?" The little girl continued pointing at Ethan. "That human," she said with absolute certainty. "He's the one from the dream." The whispering began immediately. Solari children were known throughout the galaxy for possessing a rare ability: precognitive dreaming. They sometimes saw fragments of possible futures. Most were vague. Some were symbolic. But a few were frighteningly accurate. Valerin's gaze sharpened. What dream, Lyrie? The girl looked up at her mother. The one where everything goes dark, she said simply. The whispering stopped. Even Ethan felt a chill crawl up his spine. Lyrie turned back to him. In the dream, everyone is scared, she continued. The stars are breaking. Ships are burning. And there's a shadow that eats planets. A few delegates shifted uneasily. The galaxy had seen its share of cosmic threats, but something about the way she said it made the air feel heavier. And then, Lyrie said softly, that human stands in the middle of it. Her finger was still pointed directly at Ethan. He's the one who stops it. The chamber exploded with voices. Impossible. A child's dream cannot guide policy. This is absurd. Ethan stood frozen as dozens of alien diplomats argued at once. Great, he thought. I just got drafted into a prophecy. Valerin raised her hand again, silencing the hall. She looked down at Lyrie. Tell me everything you remember. The little princess nodded seriously. In the dream, she said, the shadow comes from outside the galaxy. It's alive but not alive. It eats stars and worlds and ships. Several delegates exchanged worried glances. Everyone tries to fight it, Lyrie continued, but it's too big. Her eyes shifted to Ethan again. Then the human does something no one expects. Valerin leaned forward slightly. What does he do? Lyrie frowned. I don't know, she admitted. The dream stops before I see it. The chamber fell silent again. All eyes slowly turned toward Ethan. He raised both hands. Just to clarify, he said carefully, I literally arrived here 20 minutes ago. Later that evening, Ethan sat in a quiet observation lounge overlooking the stars. The assembly had been postponed. Apparently, galactic diplomacy didn't have a protocol for children predicting apocalyptic events. He stared out the massive window, watching alien ships drift like glowing fish through the darkness. You seem overwhelmed. Ethan turned. Princess Lyrie stood in the doorway. Alone. Hi, he said. She walked into the room, completely unafraid. You're confused, she said. That's one word for it. She climbed onto a nearby chair and swung her legs. I saw you in the dream many times, she explained. Did I look confused in those too? She nodded. Very. Ethan chuckled. Well, at least I'm consistent. Lyrie tilted her head. But you weren't scared. That caught his attention. Not scared.
No.
She studied him curiously. Why aren't you scared?
Ethan thought about it.
I guess humans are used to facing things bigger than us. Like what? Oh, hurricanes. Asteroids.
Wars.
Taxes. She didn't understand the last one, but she nodded thoughtfully. Then she said something that made Ethan's smile fade. In the dream, the shadow comes very soon. How soon? Lyrie's glowing eyes met his. Soon enough that you'll see it. 2 days later, the Concorde received a signal from the edge of the galaxy. A research station had gone silent. Then another. Then an entire colony world vanished from long-range scans. Not destroyed.
Gone.
As if something had swallowed the star itself. Panic spread quickly through the Concorde. The phenomenon had a name now. The Void Devourer. And it was moving toward the center of the galaxy. Toward civilization.
Toward them.
Emergency sessions filled the assembly hall as military leaders debated strategy. Thousands of warships mobilized. Ancient weapons were awakened. Planetary defenses activated. But every simulation ended the same way. Total extinction. In the middle of the chaos, Ethan sat quietly in a strategy chamber surrounded by alien generals. One of them finally snapped. Why is the human here? Another answered grimly. Because the princess saw him in the dream. All eyes turned toward Ethan. So, the The general growled. Do you have a plan to save the galaxy? Ethan leaned back in his chair. Maybe. The room went silent. You maybe have a plan? Someone asked.
Yeah.
The generals leaned forward. What is it? Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. First, he said, I need a ship. The vessel they gave him was small by military standards, but powerful enough to cross half the galaxy in days. A sleek Solari scout craft. When Ethan boarded it, he discovered he wasn't alone. Princess Lyrie sat in the pilot seat. You can't come, Ethan said immediately. Yes, I can. No, you can't. Yes, I can. 2 minutes later, her mother and half the Solari security forces arrived. After a long argument, they reached a compromise. Lyrie would stay on the ship, but Ethan was officially in command. The ship launched toward the approaching darkness. For hours they traveled through silent space. Then the stars began disappearing, one by one. Ahead of them, something vast moved through the void. At first Ethan thought it was a cloud. Then he realized it was bigger than solar systems. A living abyss. The void devourer. Even the ship's instruments struggled to comprehend it. Lyrie stared out the window. That's the shadow. Ethan nodded slowly. Yeah. His hands moved across the control panel. What are you doing? She asked. Something very human. The ship accelerated, straight toward the cosmic monster. The devourer reacted instantly. Gravitational waves rippled outward as the creature sensed the approaching vessel. Massive tendrils of darkness stretched across space like hunting limbs. Lyrie watched Ethan carefully. You're not attacking, she noticed. Nope. You're flying into its mouth. Yep. Why? Ethan smiled faintly. Because humans are good at one thing. What? Being unpredictable. The ship dove into the swirling darkness. Inside the devourer, space twisted into impossible shapes. Energy storms raged like cosmic hurricanes. Lyrie clutched her seat. What are you doing? She shouted. Ethan pointed at the main screen. At the center of the storm was a pulsing sphere of energy. The creature's core. That thing eats stars, Ethan said. Yes. So, what happens if it eats something it can't digest? Lyrie blinked. What do you mean? Ethan opened a compartment beside his seat. Inside was a small metallic cylinder. A human nuclear fusion warhead. But it wasn't armed. Lyrie tilted her head. That won't destroy it. I know. Ethan tapped the cylinder. This thing produces a controlled star-level fusion reaction. Lyrie's eyes widened slowly. You're going to feed it a star. Exactly. He programmed the device. Then ejected it directly into the creature's core. The devourer absorbed it instantly. For a moment nothing happened. Then the monster began to convulse. The fusion device ignited. Inside the creature's core, the devourer had evolved to consume stable stars. But this reaction was unstable, violent, chaotic. The cosmic predator had just swallowed something that fought back. Energy erupted through its body like a chain reaction. The devourer screamed across space, a sound felt through gravity itself. Then it collapsed inward. The darkness imploded.
And vanished.
The stars returned. Days later, the assembly hall was silent again. But this time it was a different kind of silence.
Awe.
Ethan stood on the same platform as before. Except now, every delegate in the chamber was staring at him like he was something entirely new. High Speaker Valrin stepped forward. The Void Devourer is gone, she said. Destroyed by a single human strategy. Ethan shrugged. Well, technically it destroyed itself. Lyrie ran into the chamber and pointed at him again. See, she said proudly. I told you he was the one. Valrin looked at Ethan thoughtfully. You faced a creature that terrifies entire civilizations, she said. And instead of fighting it with power, you tricked it. Ethan smiled. That's kind of our thing. The speaker turned to the assembly. Humanity has proven something today. She paused. They are small. They are young. They are unpredictable. Her glowing eyes returned to Ethan. But they are exactly the kind of allies this galaxy needs. Lyrie tugged on Ethan's sleeve. In the dream, she whispered, this is the part where everyone claps. A second later, the entire chamber erupted in applause.